Welcome back to Uncharted 4. Now we're on chapter 17.
And we have our
Yes.
fellow guest slash rival commentating member, Deji.
Wow,
Say hi,
throwing
Deji.
shade. Wow, throwing shade at me. Okay.
No. I just regarded you as
Basically,
from a
this is
rival
the-
commentary group of ours. No biggie.
This is the chapter where Nate and Elena talk about their differences and try their best to resolve them. But also they got to try and find Sam because they couldn't give two hoots about the treasure.
So they know the truth about Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was after everything that happened, yeah. Anyway,
Alright,
yeah.
Now I'm gonna try and climb up that.
But yeah, like this was saying, this is chapter 17 for Better or Worse, which is also the name of the music track that plays during this chapter by Emery Jackman, For Better or Worse. And it's a beautiful piano piece that we'll get to hear once they get back to the car.
Okay, so question: Do
Go
you
ahead.
think originally Sam was meant to betray them?
To what now?
Well, the thing is, we don't really know anything about what was Amy's original idea when she first started.
Oh, I
this
wonder if
project.
he... I think he...
remember before this, Sam had a completely different actor.
Yeah, and the very first teaser for Uncharted 4 we got was apparently Sam saying that for 15 years that you sent me to that hellhole or something like that.
Yeah, but then Amy left Naughty Dog, so Neil made some changes. So I guess we'll never know.
They're for better or for worse, guys.
Got a vase.
That's a nice looking vase.
Vase, whatever.
It's vase. Besides, it sounds cooler when you say it my way. Vase.
That's a
Why-
matter of opinion. So
Why can't-
dating back.
Why can't people just parrot what I say? Don't you know? See how much better the world was if everybody had my exact opinion? Don't you see, guys? That's all I ask.
I mean, I know I kind of had to
this is
establish
important.
some dominance, but... Oh.
400 million, 12 founders, hundreds of colonists, something like that.
Yeah, that just about covers it.
Yeah, that about covers it. Good one, Elena. All right.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Ooh,
Is that an elevator?
Sure looks
elevator.
Like it. I swear Avery recruited the best engineers of his time.
You must have used it to move supplies upriver.
But they probably had to move the supplies upriver to be able to move the supplies upriver. Maybe.
All right then.
Okay, there we go. Using the new mechanic of this game once again.
There's your car. Just need to get up there.
Well, what do you think?
If only if we had the usual tricky hook and wire.
Unfortunately, there's nothing we can hook it onto, so...
My
We'll see.
diving.
I guess we'll just have to climb up there the old-fashioned way.
Just like in Uncharted 1.
Yeah, actually, that's another thing. This particular chapter, it kind of feels to me like kind of a throwback to Uncharted 1 for the sake of, since this is the last game, I figured that's probably somewhat of an intention that they had. Because
Yeah,
we've
we've
think
got
about
the
it, that's-
backwards banter between Nate and Ellie, and
We're in a
you know,
jungle environment, like in the first game. So yeah, this kind of feels like it's trying to be a little nostalgic throwback for those who have been here since the beginning.
Refreshing.
Yep, have a nice shower. What I like to do. You see, guys, I mean, in my playthrough, I like to throw in a little bit of stuff I like doing onto the characters in the game, like with
Or just the random wandering around.
yeah, like with GTA characters, I make them even more reckless than they normally are. I turn Nate into a clumsy guy who keeps dying a lot.
I wonder what I'll do with Ellie Noir. There's so many possibilities.
Well, age over. If actually, Jeff, I was wondering. Since you're probably going to do the current gen versions of Ellie Noir, unless you're doing the PC version,
Which is the version I have, yes.
There's a way through over there.
See if you can find something I can use.
Yep.
you get different camera angles. You get a unique control scheme with
That still sounds a bit redundant to me. I mean, if the
Aye.
content itself is the same, is it really worth it?
Oh, I mean, so you can do different camera angles with the Switch version, huh?
Well,
mean-
the PS4 version too, but I think the Switch one has its own.
I mean, like, well, I mean, I've got the PC version. I mean, the only way I could see them really improving is if there's, like, less bugs that show up. Or if they,
Not
like,
just that,
somehow
but
get it up
actual-
to a better frame rate. Otherwise, I got the PC
Maybe
version.
I'd suggest just doing the PS4 version, Jova,
Why not the PC version?
because I've heard the
What game?
PC version's even buggier.
What game?
LA Noire.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the PS4 version isn't even out yet, so we can't even judge properly.
Yeah, I
Basic
know.
ports of old games never really turn out that great.
Yeah,
Well,
that
that's
too. I mean, have you
Unless they're made by Bluepoint.
have you seen the PS4?
yeah, though.
Have you seen the PS4 ports of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City? Ugh.
I've heard those are pretty bad. Jova, maybe you know, how are the Bioshock ones?
I kind of have the PC
played it,
version,
that's
which
fine.
I have the PC version, so they pretty much just patch those in. Go figure.
Oh, that makes sense.
The Bioshock ones, though, are a better example.
I think 2K are used to making PC games.
Really hope we get a fourth Bioshock game someday.
Well, unfortunately, Jova Ken Levine's kind of stopped with Bioshock now. So.
Yeah, I know, but Bioshock 2 did show that we can get more Bioshock games even without the creator on board.
Well, the 2's just kind of a lame version of 1.
That's from people who hate 2. I mean, really, when you get down to it, 2 is like a bulkier version of 1 here and there. I mean, heck, it's got a heck of a lot more endings. Again, it's really something that I suggest you play for yourself to judge, because you're going to hear a lot of half and half. Like, there are people who love it, people who hate 2, and all that jazz. To me, I actually think that Bioshock 2 actually has, ironically, a better emphasis on story. That's not to say Bioshock 1's story isn't.
Oh no!
I barely hear anything about Bioshock 2. All
Probably.
I hear is Break for 1 and Infinite.
I don't get the praise for Infinite. I mean, okay, I get it. Ken Levine's his return. Bioshock Infinite is great, I get, but part of me wonders if the praise for Infinite is just people trying to discredit the notion that Bioshock 2 is good. Because, really, when you get down to it, Infinite is, how should I put it? A bit
So what you're
convoluted.
saying is any game with the word infinite on it isn't that great.
No.
Marvel versus Capcom.
No, Deji. I said Bioshock Infinite is a great game. It's just people tend to overpraise it. But yeah, go on.
It's kind of like with the Dark Cloud series, Deji, because the Dark Cloud series, while great, the fans of that series tend to treat that series like it's the second coming of Jesus, and it's not.
Also, sort of like how fans.
I guess it's because they liked. It was good to have a refreshing FPS game in 2013.
Yeah, true. But then again, I mean, well, that's what Bioshock's good for, actually giving you a refreshing FPS.
Jova,
Yes.
when you eventually, when you do 1 and 2, are you using the PC versions?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, they are, the reposted, updated versions.
Yeah, I'll just stick with the PS4 version of Infinite, since
Is the PS4 remaster in 60 frames per second? Probably isn't.
it's definitely of a higher graphical fidelity.
How's its frame rate?
I don't know. It's been a while since I played it.
Well, considering it's a remaster, I'm pretty sure the frame rate is rock solid stable. It's just a matter of whether they chose to upgrade it to 60 or not.
Again, it's like I said many times before. Whether it's 30, 60, or 6,000 FPS, I don't really care. Just make it consistent, please.
Well, no, I understand that. The
I'm
thing
not
is,
really that too
is
hard
that-
on it either. It's just like, well, there's so many games nowadays that update them to 60 frames per second that
because the thing is that you have to understand that you kind of need quick reflexes when you're doing some kind of stuff, and having a proper 60 frames per frame rate helps a lot in that regard.
yeah. We have to remember that 60 frames per second for a long time was actually the norm.
Yeah, back in the Mega Drive, back in the Genesis and Super Nintendo days, pretty much every game was 60 frames except for the PAL versions because fucking refresh rate.
Hell. I mean, go hell, even PlayStation 1 and PS2 games had a lot of 60 FPS. Maybe not so much on the PlayStation 1, but definitely on the PS2. It was mainly when we got to the generation with PS3 and Xbox 360 where we got more 30 frames per second.
The reason for that is because games getting more complex and there being a lot of focus on open world games, it became really hard to maintain a consistent 60 frames per second. So something had to go, basically.
Yeah. Now, granted, it has come to the point where some games are actually made with 30 frames per second in mind, and that's all fine and well. However, it can get jarring when you switch it from 60 frames per second to 30 or back. Especially, like Pedro said, in cases where you need reflexes. Devil May Cry!
Yeah, which is why those games always go for a 60 frame rate. Same thing with Platinum. Like, for example, Platinum has actually specifically said various times in interviews that they always prioritize frame rate over resolution because, in an action game, it requires split time precision, obviously you need.
Yeah, honestly, for me, 120... Basically, 1287 20p, that's good enough for me for graphic fidelity.
1080.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on.
Oh, crap.
Alright, so, will Dwibs stealth or not? What am I talking about? He won.
Probably not.
What do you think?
Maybe he will. He has stealth sometimes.
But Jova, I've told you guys many times before, I hate stealth.
But you're stealthing right now.
Well, just because I hate something doesn't mean I'm not going to try.
Exactly.
Wait.
Oh, fuck. Yep. See?
There you go.
Hey, I tried. I gotta give you credit for that.
True.
Alright, here we go. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I myself sometimes get caught in Lost Legacy.
Mm. Shooting, bang, crash, boom, wallop.
There's a couple. It's basically one of those things. See, like it's basically one of those things. See, when it comes to a game like, let's say, this game or something like GTA, considering the graphics tend to be on the more on the realistic side, that requires a lot of processing power from the consoles. So obviously, it's just kind of not going to be a thing of 60 frames because it's just going to be. It's just something has to be sacrificed in order for the game to run properly. Oh, okay.
It's driving time.
Some of my favorite parts of the game.
It's like, for example, to give an idea, the reason Phantom Pain, despite being open world, and being looking gorgeous, it can run on 60 frames on the PS4 is because it was built using PS3 technology. So technically, it is a PS3 game upgraded to the PS4s, and that's why it was allowed to have 60 frames on that. Because the Fox engine is a cross-platform engine.
But can it do 4K?
No, because the Phantom Pain team has now been disassembled before
Then
the
it's
PS4.
not worth it.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you know, guys? Now you can get your games Xbox One X enhanced.
And PS4 Pro, too.
I'm sorry, but I really hate the whole 4K hype that they're trying to build off.
We don't need it.
Not really, no.
It made
Like,
sense when we
it's
were
nice
talking
to
about
have, it's
720
just
and
not something that you
1080.
should make as your main selling point. Like,
See,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Shouldn't the games be your main selling point? I mean, is
Well,
it
to be fair, it's not the only benefit. Like I've said, there are plenty of games on the Xbox and PlayStation that can run better performance on the Pro and X. So there is that added benefit as well. It's not just the 4K. Like, for example, like I've said in that playthrough, the only way to play Last Guardian with a single frame rate dip is to play it on 1080p on the PS4 Pro.
Pedro, do you have one of those?
A Pro? No, I wish I had, but unfortunately I don't.
So did you guys hear about that indie game Smash Brothers?
Indie game
Pogo.
Smash Bros.
Yeah, it's called Indie Pogo. It has Shovel Knights, Lilac from
Shantae.
No.
Hey, easy.
Bit
Okay, I'm trying to get up to the. I
I
think
haven't
it's
heard
supposed
about
to
that,
go up.
but I'm curious.
I think it's
Dwibs.
supposed to go up here, but
Dwibs, I'm pretty sure a car cannot climb over something like that.
I want to
At
see
least
if
not-
you. Do you
I've
actually?
done. Hey, Pedro, many more impossible things have happened.
True.
True, but I don't know. It just doesn't really sound something like it would be intuitive. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, so this is where I was supposed to go, or is it?
Oh,
It's
well,
a circle of life.
well, it certainly looks dangerous enough. Well, sure, why
Moves
not?
us all backwards.
Oh, hold on. Now that I'm seeing, I don't think you get to the elevator part in the view. Don't worry, I'm still looking.
Or is it this way I meant to go?
Okay, you only get to the part that I was talking about, and right at the beginning of the next.
Yeah, the next part I finally get there. Okay,
The road continues on the other side.
Let's find a way over there.
and yeah, I'm not gonna bother driving around. I'm just gonna take a shortcut.
There you go, Dwibs. Go there.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get there, game, but I'm having a hard time doing that.
Dwibs, you were already here before.
You could have just looped back around and gone up the other way, you know.
Nate, why didn't you go back and ask for directions?
Well, there's no one around who's not trying to kill us, honey, for
But what
that.
about that skeleton over there?
Yeah,
He's
hey,
obviously
hey,
busy with more pressing matters.
Hey, Mr. Dead Guy, do you know where we can find the shortcut?
Yeah, you just have to go up the mountain.
Oh, we're there anyway. Thanks, buddy.
It's
Have a nice
massive.
death.
Bet you could write a killer article about all
problem.
this.
See you in a
Good.
few
I
days.
doubt anybody would believe it.
Oh, you could take pictures too.
I didn't bring my camera.
Why didn't you bring your camera, woman? This is how we usually do this.
Lol, found my husband.
Well, Jova, to be fair, in the first game, her camera did fall under a bridge, so I guess she probably thought.
Yeah, her cameraman died.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what about the third one?
In the third one, well, in the third one, she was mostly behind the scenes. She didn't actually partake in much of the action.
And now I'm really wet.
Ha 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 ha! I'm really wet.
You're so funny.
I thought I was gonna get a bonus point for driving through through that gate, but then I remembered, oh yeah, I'm not playing Spyro yet.
That is
Wrong developer.
an easy contraption.
By the way, who's who's doing the other Spyro games other than Enter the Dragonfly?
I assume Shiroi.
I tell you what, Shiroi, if I ever win the lottery, after I sorted out my folks, of course, I'll get you an Elgato.
Me too, please.
Jova, get in line.
You got
Well,
enough for the rest of the class.
Too easy.
Well, that's the problem, Jova. Shiroi actually lives in the same group of countries as I do. Postage and packing to America sounds a bit difficult.
It is posting
Oh,
from
posting
Europe
packing
to.
to America is so pricey.
It is. Sorry,
Oh,
Jova.
dear.
Alright, okay, so we need a way up there. Oh crap, no, not the grenade!
Hey, we're okay. Your grenade didn't backfire stupendously for once.
Well, Jova, as you've seen, there's been plenty of times where I pressed the wrong button. Like, remember that part where I instantly began by shooting something at a random?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so, okay, so I survived almost killing myself. Let's use the car's winch to pull it down.
Right.
Round
There we
and
go.
round and round he goes.
Still holding out for a Spyro remake.
Okay.
It's never coming.
Well, if a Crash remake's gonna happen, then
Yeah. Considering the huge success of the Insane trilogy, I wouldn't be surprised if Activision decides to bring out their other.
I think they've said they consider that.
I think the
Yeah.
reason Shiroi's a bit more down about it is the fact that Spyro kinda was the first one who got steeped into the whole Skylanders deal as the
Well, no-
quote-unquote face of
actually,
it.
No. Sounds is. I mean, no, somebody is.
I swear you're the
Trying to
only
play
you're like one of the few Spyro fans that actually say that.
Well, I actually tried to play the game, so my issues with it isn't Spyro. It's like for the game itself.
Yeah. Although I do find it, you know what? I'll save it after the commentary.
And also in
because,
terms of games, at least main series ones, Spyro's had it a bit rougher than Crash. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crash's first platformer after Naughty Dog was just mediocre.
Yeah.
Spyro's first one was just flat out bad.
yeah.
Wrath of Cortex had the thing where it actually did have some pretty good levels, had an awesome soundtrack, which I love to bits, and again, yeah, at worst it was
Yeah,
mediocre.
let's try and bring it to,
Get to.
Crash-
PS2, yeah.
Crash also has the benefit that after Wrath of Cortex came Crash to Insanity, which was a godsend of a Crash game, so much so to the point where people are still asking to this day that we get a remake of it with more content added. And to the point where it looks like we may actually have a chance, seeing as how one of the developers of Crash to Insanity works at Activision, and another guy who worked on it has been keeping artwork up. So yeah, high hopes for that. Spyro, on the other hand, though, he had Enter the Dragonfly, and after that, A Hero's Tale, which I hear, while better, was
Idea.
kinda, well, mediocre at best, as opposed to being mediocre at worst.
That's my girl.
Do tell, Shiroi.
Made by an experienced developer. Enter the Dragonfly was made by two completely new developers when it showed, who were rushed to a Christmas 02 release.
By the way, I love that line from Nate right after Elena stopped the windmill for him. That's my girl.
I'm
It's
just
true.
bitter that Bubsy is getting the revival treatment. before
Honestly, Shiroi, to me,
Spyro.
it's just one of those. To me, it's just one of those cases where whoever owns Accolade is like, we really want to try to get this into this video game shit. What do we have? We have this Bubsy
No,
thing. and-
no. To me, it's because everyone kept memeing the living hell out of Bubsy. Like I heard that the first one wasn't bad. It was okay, but
Oh, no.
No.
I've heard
No.
them all entirely.
Wait,
They're
wait,
all
wait.
terrible. You trust me.
Hold on. Let me finish. Like when it first came out for its time, there was a lot of hype, and people actually did like the first one.
Well,
this
that's
one.
It was a different time.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
People
keyword
like-
though
people
for its
have-
time.
people like Sonic Adventure 1. Ayo! No, just
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Bubsy, though. For its time, that's true. The problem is that
Oh crap.
it hasn't
Whoa.
held up that well.
See if I can play.
Okay. I swear, Nadina should be as rich as the Baudelaires to be able to afford all these men.
I know, right?
Let's just say that we're gonna get a little more insight into that in Lost Legacy.
But it's like
See, the deal with Bubsy is like, well, his moment of fame wore out quickly.
yeah.
Almost as much as his puns.
Also there, G, another thing, even going with the for the time thing. At the time, we had games like Super Mario World, Sonic 3. So I failed to realize how even for its time the game was okay or what it was considered.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where people just didn't know any better.
Well, honestly, Deji, that would have
No, I
to
can-
apply to every single one. Not to mention the fact that whether or not they didn't know better doesn't excuse the fact that they ran that series into the ground. Like, seriously. All those
regardless,
games.
The only reason why they brought them back is because of all the memes. And this is why you shouldn't meme about stuff, because you got Bubsy coming back, you get Knack 2, and you have the
Alright, let's stop
If
memeing about Spyro.
Let me
Yeah, let's all start
Yeah.
memeing about Sparrow
finish.
now.
Let me finish.
Let me
honestly-
finish.
Yeah, let's...
And you get the emoji movie making 3 times its money back, you fucking morons.
Well, on the plus side, we'll get plenty of YouTube commentators making hilarious reviews tearing it to shreds.
No.
Well, honestly though, Deji, I reckon. I mean, with the way the game's going at the moment, and from what we've seen from the trailers, this is probably just going to be a one and done thing. Although stranger things have happened.
Well,
No, Stranger Things come out next month.
okay. One thing we have to remember, Dwibs, this is definitely an effort to bring Bubsy back into the spotlight. I mean, heck, considering how this year is pretty much getting plenty of platformers back, it doesn't surprise me. It's definitely them trying to bring Bubsy back.
Well, it helps that they found a well, it helps that publishers have found a good way to well, at least release more platformers, release them at a much cheaper price than they would other games.
Hey,
It's the wrong
you
button.
know,
Although, how is it that Bubsy gets a revival, but we don't have a new F-Zero game?
no new Mega Man game.
But why? Leave Capcom alone, Jova. They don't deserve the criticism they've been getting us to do.
Who says that these days? I don't think even Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite defenders are saying that anymore.
Uh,
You seem to be doing fine.
Aside
does
from
Tina watch
NeoGaf.
these parts?
Oh,
Definitely earned it.
Oh well, we do. It's just it's just
Yeah.
there's only so many times we can talk about shooting, Deji.
well,
I said Tio.
Well, earlier I was trying to call attention to a specific nice little interaction, but you guys ignored me.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're wondering that
And
ourselves.
according to the internet, that means that we don't think it's that engaging, even though we do.
God damn it. All right, Pedro, what is it?
Well, it's a bit too late to ask
What
me that
was
now.
What was
You know,
it?
I could reverse time.
No. We're doing it live, Pedro.
Does car come with life jackets?
Yeah.
Basically, it was a nice little, and Nate was hanging from the bars, and they were like, "Oh, so how are you doing there over there?" "Oh, yeah, I'm fine."
Huh.
Excuse
And
me.
he coughed.
No, that was just me flourishing it.
Damn it, Pedro! You try bring a moment back to us and you ruin it.
And I learned from you, Dwibs.
Yeah, I thought you'd finally learn something from me someday.
Now, hopefully, you'll also learn something about me about, learning directions.
That'll happen.
It's a good thing I'm recording Lost Legacy.
Yeah. Okay, up we go. You know, I wish this had an arrow you could turn on and off.
You mean the destination marker being permanently there?
Yeah, say if you get lost or something.
Well, that's just the thing.
Hey, Pedro. If I were the one doing the next game, that'd have been another perfect reason to call it the Lost Legacy.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right, moving.
Yeah. If I reckon that's how the game ends. They try and find the legacy, but they get lost and they starve to death at the end.
I got control again.
We're getting there.
You didn't happen to bring us some spare clothes, did you?
I did.
Great.
They're on the
Oh.
plane.
Not great.
Oh.
Oh,
Well, they probably get dirty anyway.
We can drive through the sluice gate.
I mean,
That looks like Nate. Nah.
Ow. Okay, maybe she didn't mean that. Maybe she didn't mean that kind of drive through the gate.
Nah. You think?
It was worth a try.
It's okay, Dwibs. It's okay, Dwibs. Wow.
I'm getting dizzy.
My head's spinning.
What a wild
what a wild
ride.
ride. All right. That's
Yeah,
it.
well, and that is the reason why I don't think any of the Adventure era Knuckles voices are all that good, to be honest.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I would argue that the guy who did it in battle and well, actually, she said it was different. Never mind. I would argue that the guy who's okay. Does remind me again who did his voice in battle?
Scott Dreer.
Scott Dreer. I would like to see Scott Dreer have a go at it with actual direction. Yeah, from someone who can actually speak English. That would be nice because, like I've said various times on SSMB, one thing we have to remember is that those games have some god awful translations and the voice director was terrible. So
What
honestly,
was the voice director for SA1 Rouge?
Lanny Manella.
well, that's just the thing, Deji. I like Lena Manella a lot as a voice actress. As a voice director, from what I've seen, yeah, it's a good thing she stopped being a voice director because from what I've seen, she's not very good at it. I mean, let's think about this for a moment. The moment she stopped being the voice director, the voice direction got better. What does that tell you?
Well, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog's voice acting was so great.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that then, Dwibs. When we actually got a proper voice actor who actually has experience in that field, and actually is regarded as actually a capable one, specifically starting with Unleashed, things got better, didn't they?
Honestly, Shadow the Hedgehog's voice acting wasn't even that bad.
It was the store. Shadow, everyone just pays attention to this.
Shadow the Hedgehog's voice acting was more so a problem of the script being atrocious rather than the direction too.
Okay, guys.
Sonic
I
games
tried.
being atrocious. What a surprise!
Actually,
okay,
I
what
consider that the
happened there
exception
was
as opposed to the norm.
I tried to do an awesome leap onto the bridge, but
All right, let's go.
let's try again.
Yay!
Because we'll never get our Uncharted.
Uncarded.
This is the closest we'll get.
Yeah. I mean, this game is really vehicle heavy, but still, you should have made it.
Oh no! Allow me to correct you there, Deji. Lost Legacy is vehicle driven because, what they did
Why
for
not
Lost...
call that one Uncharted?
It's not like it takes place the entire game on the vehicle, but yeah, basically, Deji, Lost Legacy basically takes the vehicle sections of this game and expands upon them, specifically with a more open world area, Phantom Pain style.
Well, you should have made a racing game. Just.
Eh.
I wonder who lived here.
Probably the elevator.
It's the closest thing you're getting to a new Tomb Raider game in a year, since the developers are busy working on that Marvel game.
Yeah. Oh well, it's not like Tomb Raider has never been on a hiatus before,
Sure.
and for worse reasons.
Mm-hmm. Did Rise sell well?
Yeah, Rise sold. From what I've heard, Rise sold okay. It's just that the Western branch of Square Enix, who own Crystal Dynamics, the developers, just want to focus on something else for the time being.
Yeah, they're focused on Marvel.
One of the big problems with that is that whoever had the idea to have that first tier being exclusive to Xbox was a terrible idea because by the time the game came out on platforms that people actually give a shit about, the hype had completely died down by that point. That was a big mistake in general.
It's what I like to call.
Because what was the one that came out in like 2013? Did well.
Tomb Raider the reboot.
Yeah, the reboot.
2013.
Because I guess it did well on Xbox One, so that's why.
It did fine.
It did good all over all platforms. It's just that I don't know. Maybe Microsoft really wanted that game.
Because they needed their own version of Uncharted, and instead of making their own, they had to buy it.
I guess.
Yeah, I can buy that they're just resting the Tomb Raider series for now because they're working on something else. I mean, it's not
most likely.
It's not like what happened after Angel of Darkness, where people thought the series was dead.
Sure. All right. See for the next part where we'll actually get to the cutscenes that I was talking about.
Provided
Dwibs actually doesn't fuck up. Yeah.
And provided I can find the right way there.
All right. See you, everybody. Will Dwibs find the story? Tune in next time to find out.
No, it'll be part 19.
Can Pedro find the story?
Whatever. See you then.
See ya.